make videos like this, but here we go. We're going to be taking a look at a picture that had supposedly been found sent at least once, but possibly up to 3 times by John Podesta in the Podesta WikiLeaks files. For those of you that don't know, John Podesta is the chairman of the 2016 Hillary Clinton presidential campaign, and he previously served as chief of staff to President Bill Clinton and counselor to President Barack Obama. WikiLeaks for the past couple of weeks has been releasing thousands of his emails to the public, and they're being rifled through and sorted through right now. As of recording this on Remember the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes Day, currently Hillary Clinton is involved in a massive number of scandals and holds the distinction of being the first presidential candidate to be under investigation while gunning and running for the White House, as the FBI has recently reopened their investigation into her email scandals. Now, we're not going to cover the numerous scandals surrounding John Podesta, Hillary Clinton, and Bill Clinton in this video because there's just too many to cover. John Podesta has recently been linked, along with numerous other popular and public figures, to an artist named Marina Abramovich, who engages in artistic acts called spirit cooking, where she supposedly mixes blood, urine, and semen and the like, and paints with it, amongst possibly other things I don't even want to speculate on. We are not going to discuss in this video Hillary Clinton's self-proclaimed mentor, Robert Byrd, who was the head of the KKK, nor are we going to talk about the pay-for-play corruption happening through the Clinton Foundation. We're not going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and what looks like a pedophile ring happening at his island/compound, where former President Bill Clinton has reportedly visited numerous times, even taking Jeffrey Epstein's private jet, what is deemed the Lolita Express by the press. And we're not going to talk about the video where Hillary lies for 13 minutes straight. We're not going to discuss the Benghazi scandal or how Debbie Wasserman Schultz helped steal the election from Bernie Sanders. That's just to name a few of the things that we're not going to cover in this video. What we are going to do is deconstruct and discuss the highly occult significance of what John Podesta is saying in this pic. We're going to be decoding this picture with symbolism, arithmomancy, which is known as the theological study of arithmetic, and gematria, as well as delving into richly mystical, spiritual, and occult themes. We're going to be using the septenary gematria cipher for the English alphabet for this video. So those of you who do not know this, or who are new to my channel, who have never heard of me before, or know of this study at all, please note there's a ton of information, blogs, books, numerous videos and interviews and the like, to help you get familiar with the cipher we're going to use today. Everything I'm going to present to you in this video can be confirmed, validated, verified, and double-checked yourself. I will present nothing that cannot be demonstrably proven if you simply have the ability to spell and do basic arithmetic. Okay, here we go. Let's take a look at the de-occulting of John Podesta. This picture was found on the WikiLeaks archive email number 3999, and you can search it and download it yourself at wikileaks.org. The place I originally got this pic was from an account called MicroSpookyLeaks on Twitter, who, as of writing this morning, had their account suspended by Twitter. Pretty interesting. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the number 14 and the human hands. Your hands are what I consider to be a template for universal mathematics, and it's a concept I cover quite extensively in my books and videos. I have a 10-minute video entitled The Mathematics of the Human Body, and I'll link that below, if you would like to explore this concept further, in which I show how the mathematics of your hands contain things like the cycle and phases of the moon, women's periods and menstruation and ovulation, how a calendar can be created with your hands, and how your hands actually reveal the mystical and religious number 7, just to name a few things. So if you notice, Johnny P here has the number 14 written on his right hand. Now, your hand is actually composed of 14 phalanges, and phalanges are the little bone segments or sections on your hands. So you have 3 on each finger and 2 on your thumb, giving you 14 for your left hand and 14 for your right hand, coming together to be 28. The fish on John Podesta's left hand is a reference to the 14th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, known as Nun. Now, the 14th letter of the English alphabet is the letter N, which the word none actually begins and ends with N. And the word none in Hebrew actually means fish. So here we have John Podesta with a 14 on his right hand, and on his other hand is a fish, and the 14th letter of the Hebrew alphabet literally means fish. And notice the phonetic agreement of the Hebrew word none, N-U-N, and the English word none, or N-O-N-E. This is something we'll cover again towards the end of the video. The fish is created by what is known in sacred geometry as the vesica piscis, or two circles resting on each other's centers, and the vesica piscis literally translates to the vessel of the fish. The center womb or overlap creates what is known as the very famous ichthys fish, a logo celebrated by the Dogon of West Africa. It's found in Islamic art. It's even found on the highly esoteric tarot deck. And of course, it's found in Christian iconography with Jesus nestled in the center of the womb or the overlap of the two circles. If you make the fish a height of 265, the width will equal 153. And 265 divided by 153 equals the square root of 3. The number 153 is mentioned in the book of John, where Jesus miraculously caught 153 fish. Now, the Holy Trinity is yet another esoteric concept shared and celebrated across the known world, and it is the one that John is directly referencing here. The Trinity is found in Hindu as in Shiva, Brahman, and Vishnu. It's found in Scandinavia as Odin, Freya, and Thor. It's the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit in the Christian canon, Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva in the Roman mythology, and is found in ancient Egypt with Isis, Osiris, and Horus. Now, Osiris is known as the god of the afterlife, the underworld, and the dead, but more appropriately, he is the god of transition, resurrection, and regeneration. The concept of dying and being reborn, or death and resurrection, is an extremely prevalent theme in many myths across the known world, and known popularly in the modern parlance, of course, with the story of Jesus and the Passion of Jesus. The story of Osiris basically goes like this. The enemy of Osiris, Set, cut Osiris into 14 pieces, put him into a sarcophagus into the Nile River, and set him adrift. Isis, the mother goddess of Egypt, went to retrieve the pieces and only found 13, with the last piece, Osiris' penis, supposedly eaten by a fish in the Nile River. This myth is considered one of the most important myths in the Egyptian lexicon. So Osiris was cut into 14 pieces. A fish ate his penis, and Isis only found 13. 13 and 14. These numbers 13 and 14 found in this myth and riddle have a direct mathematical parallel that reveals an important phenomenon in our number line related to the infinite and transcendental number of pi, as well as to the number 42, with the number 42 being a number of high occult significance. When we walk up our number line, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, if you notice, you can establish the first 5 digits of pi being 3.1415 in these three numbers, just as it unfolds in our number line. But that's not all. These three numbers, 13 plus 14 plus 15, when you add them together, equals 42. And 42 is the number of principles in the Egyptian Ma'at, what is known as the principles of law, order, and truth. Why 42? Well, here's your answer. It is found right in our number line, right where we find pi. 42 is also known as the answer to the mystery of life, according to Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and 42 is also a number which God used to create the world in Kabbalistic study. If you mirror and square the first few numbers walking out of the base 10 system, you will find that these numbers will mirror themselves all the way up to the number 14. So when we mirror these numbers and square them, we find that 11 squared is 121, and the mirror of 11 is, of course, 11, and 11 squared is 121. So 121 and 121, they're mirrors. When we walk up to 12, 12 squared is 144. The mirror of 12 is 21, and 21 times 21, or 21 squared, is 441. 144 and 441, they're mirrors. 13 squared is 169, and the mirror of 13 is 31. 31 squared is 961. 169, 961. They are mirrors, and this is where the mirroring stops, at the number 14. 14 squared is 196, and the mirror of 14 is 41, and 41 squared is 1,681. 196 and 1681, the mirroring stops. Why is this significant? because this is exactly where the decimal place in pi is established, between the numbers 13 and 14, right where the mirroring stops, and hence the significance of the number 14. This process of mirroring, reading things backwards and forwards and the like, was something lauded by famed occultist and member of the Order of the Golden Dawn, Aleister Crowley. Let him train himself to think backwards by external means, and set forth here the following. Let him learn to write backwards. Let him learn to walk backwards. Let him listen to the phonograph records reversed. Let him practice speaking backwards. Let him learn to read backwards. Instead of saying, I am he, let him say, ma I. The process of mirroring is essential to the practices of the occult. So we find this very significant number 14 written on John's right hand, which is interesting because right hand in English gematria equals 42, the same as the 13 plus 14 plus 15, where we find pi in the number line, and the 42 principles of the Egyptian Mot. It's very interesting to note in biblical scripture the amount of times that you read references to sitting at the right hand of the Father. A few notables are here. 1 Peter 3:22, Acts 5:31, Acts 2:33, Luke 22:69, all reference sitting at the right hand of the Father. The esoteric reason that the Father sits on the right side is that when you face north, or towards the pole star, if you will, the sun rises in the east, or in other words, it rises on your right side, and hence why so many religions will pray to the east, because that is where the sun rises to announce the glory of a new day. The fish on John's left hand is known in astrology to be Pisces, and is referenced in the womb where the fish is illustrated, or the Vesica Pisces. Pisces. Pisces in English gematria equals 28. And thus, if we add the 14 on John's right hand and Pisces, or 28, on John's left hand, we find, yet again, the number 42. Now, this last point is where we hit the pedal to the metal and where the rubber meets the road, so to say. Remember, we discussed that the fish in the Hebrew alphabet is known as the nun, or the N-U-N, which is phonetically identical to the English word none, or N-O-N-E, meaning nothing or zero or no thing. When we use the septenary system on the word zero, meaning none, through the words 14, the most astonishing number is revealed. So here we put the numbers to the letters of the words 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, just as it's written on John's hand. None, or the fish, or none, or 0, and 14. When we put the numbers to the letters of the words 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, the most astonishing number is revealed. We reveal the number 322. And most of us conspiracy theorists are very familiar with the number 322, as it is found prominently on the Yale Secret Society Skull and Bones logo. What's more, fish in English gematria equals 23, thus giving us two numbers, 23 and 14. Do you know what 14 times 23 is? I'll let you do that math. So here you have John Podesta clearly expressing deep occult knowledge, and all he is doing is raising his hands and putting a fish on one and the number 14 on the other. And those that know what he is saying will know exactly what he is saying. And those of us that don't know, well, apparently you, like I, were never invited to their club, and they never wanted us to know. The important thing to remember, and this is the point that I like to reiterate all the time, is that dark magic, black magic, Satanism, demon worshipping, sadistic occultism, whatever kind of terminology you want to use to describe it, the important thing to remember is that the most egregious and vile action one can take is to take that which is pure, good, beautiful, and sacred and pervert it, and distort it, and destroy it. These people are not just purely engaged in evil acts. Of course, they do that stuff to a T as well, but they go far beyond petty offenses and moral violations. They take the pathway to God, the Great Spirit, the knowledge system to understand man's connection to it, and they hide it. They corrupt it, they bastardize it, and they keep such knowledge for themselves, so that generationally they can declare themselves as sacred and you as profane. And this pathway is, and always has been, right in front of you. These people, by being masters of deception and masters of psychology, And using powerful suggestion, words, spells, mathematics, and symbol with wicked and insane means and methods take the light of knowledge, the light of wisdom, the light of truth, the light of the Creator himself, and mask it, and in return present you with lies and deceit. And they do all this secretly so no one ever suspects a thing. Their power is to trick you in believing that the wicked ideologies they embrace behind the scenes don't even exist.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
And don't think that all this evil is coming strictly from the left or the Democrats solely. May I remind you that John Kerry and George W. were both bonesmen, or members of the Yale secret society, the Skull and Bones. A good thing to remember, evil has no allegiance except to itself. Dark magicians and dark occultists run our world. And the sooner that we come to realize this, the better off humanity is going to be. It's a hard thing to accept. It's a hard thing to stomach. It's a bitter pill to swallow. But we need to recognize this for our own proliferation and for the proliferation of true spirit upon this earth. There are very twisted, very sinister people that work in concert behind the scenes to perpetuate a very disturbing, very immoral, and downright evil agenda. And we as a humanity need to stop this. It is literally in our hands. The late great comedian George Carlin does a great job of summing up this whole phenomenon. Well, let me just say this to John and Hillary and the people at the DNC and the globalists and whoever else you're all working with. Guess what? I'm not interested in being part of your club and whatever disgusting and sick shit you and your ilk like to do. No thanks. I want to see you and your crimes against humanity exposed, and I, like so many others, want everyone else involved in your schemes to be brought forward with appropriate justice served. People have asked me before, what do you think these people are doing? What kind of sick stuff goes on underground and behind closed doors? And my response is always, I have no idea. I'm not a psychopath. Couldn't tell you. To address you, John, directly, I don't know what kind of blood rituals or spear cooking or pedophile rings you may be involved in, but I do know the deep and rich significance of the symbolism and numbers on your hands. So I'm going to use these hands, this template for universal mathematics to spread knowledge, wisdom, light, and love. So, Johnny, the next time I see you with your hands up, I really hope it's preceded